Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2025. And we are here to discuss the 2025 economic outlook and also the review of the 2025 proposed budget by the president. Budget is titled Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace, Rebuilding Prosperity. Okay. Contents, which I'll be covering, includes introduction, about me, review of my 2024 predictions, 2024 results and macroeconomic analysis. What are the IMF projections for Nigeria and for Africa, and external factors that may affect the 2025 budgets, and also the internal factors that may also affect the projections for 2025. Next slide. Okay, so introduction. The budget is titled Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace and Rebuilding Prosperity, which is central of the renewed hope as proposed by the president upon his emergence into the office. Okay, and also briefly about me, my name is Babajide Babatunde M. I'm an associate tax consultant at KPMG Nigeria. I hold a BSc in accounting and currently on my MSc in finance. And also, as a sort of disclaimer, I would like to put that everything that I'm sharing in this video is strictly my opinion and not the opinion of my employer or institutions that I am affiliated with. So it's strictly my opinion, 100%. Okay, so we'll go straight to my review of 2024 predictions. So let's look at some things that I predicted earlier in January 2024. Let's look at some things that I said and let's compare it with the results and see if I was wrong or right. And please take it easy on me on things that I may be wrong about. So talking about the GDP, IMF projected a decline of 3%, while AFDB, African Development Bank, also in opposite called for an increase by 3.3%. Particularly, my prediction was that I was indifferent because the two big institutions, they were not also certain of their direction. So I was indifferent as regards this. But as we'll have it, on average, the economy grew by 3.09% during the year. As regards the exchange rates, since the emergence of President Tinubu, we've seen a lot of change in the markets as regards the decentralization of the FX markets. And my prediction was that there will be slight devaluation because we started the year at around 1,192 thereabouts, and we have it at 1,430 thereabouts, or no, 1,500 at the official market. Then currently at 1,700 plus at the unofficial market. So I think I was a bit right on this because I projected or I expected the devaluation to still go for that. NPR, an upward adjustment was predicted. I predicted that the CBN will increase NPR, which is the interest rate, in order to curb the ongoing inflation and the devaluation of the FX. And over the year, we saw the CBN increasing NPR from 18.75% in 2024, as at January 2024, to 27.50% as at December 2024. So, which represent about 850 basis points, which is actually a lot. Okay, so let's talk about oil production. Since 2023, if I'm correct, there have been an ongoing war around the Middle Belt oil area. I mean, we've seen war with Ukraine and Russia, increasing Brent crude oil to, some all-time high and all. So I predicted that the oil price will go up. We'll see some spike in the prices. But I think throughout 2024, I would say it was quite stable. Stable. And also relating to Nigeria, the oil production remain around 1.5 million barrels per day, and as OPEC also refused to increase the oil price during that time. Okay, FX reserve. Yeah, the FX reserve as at 30th December 2024, it went up to about 40 billion, which represents, if I'm correct, 33 months all-time high. So that's quite impressive. And I think I guessed, or I projected, that there will be an increase in the reserve because of potential increase in non-oil exports during the period. Market capitalization, the NSE, that's Nigerian Stock Exchange, also experienced quite spike. I mean, in terms of return, whereby they recorded about 37.65%. In 2023, we did 45.90. So which is which goes with my projection during the year that the NGX is going to turn around and do so well. Okay, talking about inflation, I projected that we'll have a spike in inflation rate as well. Given some factors as well, the FX devaluation, imported products and imported inflation as well. And as we had as at November 2024, we had inflation rate at 34.6%, which goes along with my projection. Direct investments. Well, my basis for the projection for foreign direct investment was that I felt due to the commencement of the Dangote refinery, we are supposed to have some increase in FDI, but to my surprise, we experienced some sort of decline in FDI in the year 2024, which is quite surprising. Next slide. Okay, so and to put in perspective, let's talk about 2024 in figures as well. We had the GDP rates, which grew by 3.46% in Q3 2024. Also in Q1, it grew by 4.32%, and in Q2, it grew by 3.79%. And as regards this GDP growth, one thing that interests me the most is that in the 3 quarters in 2024, the 3 out of the 4 quarters, I mean, they were being driven by the service industries, which is quite disturbing. I mean, we are the manufacturing industry. Why are they not driving the economy? Why do we have the service industry? Why are they driving the economy? And as we all know that manufacturing companies, they are the driving force of most developed countries. So which is quite concerning for the year 2024. Also, Nigeria recorded trade surplus of 5.81 trillion in Q3 2024. And for those who are need to finance, trade surplus actually means comparison of your imports to your exports. This shows that we add more exports than imports. And I will say that the major reason that contributed to this is due to the fact that it's more expensive to import goods now, so people are now going for Nigerian made products and all. Okay, capital importation is dropped by 51.9% in Q3 2024. Also in other quarters too, capital importation it's also dropped drastically, and this is to show the challenge that the economy is facing, and the fact that investors are not really coming into the country. Also, it was recorded that primary health facilities have only 34% of essential drugs, meaning that if you get to every primary health centers, you can only get 34% of essential drugs that may be needed there. And we mentioned essential drugs, not even other kind of drugs, essential ones. So this is quite concerning. And also, unemployment rate decreased to 4.3% in Q2 2024. I think this report is quite funny to me, but I mean, this is not the video for this conversation. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, and we also have 65% of households unable to afford healthy meals in Nigeria in 2024. That is, I mean, this is a country with over 220 million citizens, and 65% of its citizens cannot even afford healthy meals. That's to show you how much suffering that people are going through. And also, we had a serious spike in PMS, as PMS is now above 1,000 naira despite the commencement of Dangote refinery. I think I talked about it several times during the year, as regards the fact that having Dangote refinery is not an automatic ticket for the reduction of oil prices or petroleum prices in Nigeria. As it is usually said, the oil prices are pegged against the dollar. So the fact that we have a refinery doesn't make our oil prices come down generally until we have a reduction in the prices of global crude oil, which is Brent crude oil. Then we may not still have a cheaper oil price cheaper petroleum prices in Nigeria. The stock exchange market, like I said earlier, we experienced quite a good numbers in terms of the performance of the Nigerian stock exchange market and the foreign exchange market as well. We experienced quite a percentage of devaluation in the value of the naira, as it's currently sell somewhere around 1,745 naira per US dollars. Okay, to the next one. In summary, and in particular, let's look at the quarterly report of the GDP. I have a 2023 figures and 2024 figures as well. For Q4, the report is not yet out. Probably sometimes in February, the NBA should give us that and all. And the inflation report, you can see the inflation right from January at 29.9%, and we currently sit at 34.6%, which is quite a lot. Only God knows what will happen in the year 2025. Okay, let's talk about the IMF projection. Next slide. Okay, so globally, as regards inflation, IMF projected that the world inflation rate should decline steadily from 6.8% in 2023 to 5.9% in 2024 and 4.5% in 2025. So if you should compare Nigeria's reports in 2024, IMF projected a global inflation rate of 5.9%, and Nigeria had about 34% or approximately 35% inflation rate. You can see that we are far away from IMF global projection for the year. And IMF also projected that advanced economies will beginning to experience lower inflation rates year in year out. Also the interest rates, as inflation drops, it is expected that interest rates should also drop as well. So those are the IMF projection as regards these two. So let's look at IMF projections for Nigeria during this period as well. So IMF projects that Nigeria economy should grow by 3.2% in 2025 and inflation to drop to 25%. And like I said, we are currently at about 35%. So IMF projects that we drop to the inflation rate in Nigeria drops to 25%. Is this achievable? Maybe not, but we'll get there. And also what's it called? The projected economic growth in 2025 as per the WEO, they also projected 3.2% growth in the economy over the year. We'll come to the next slide, please. So let's look at the 2025 financial budget. Let's look at it. What does it say and how achievable it is? Based on the budget that was presented, a total expenditure of 36.35 trillion naira was a total revenue of 36.35 trillion naira was presented and paid against total expenditure of 49.74 trillion naira, and leaving us with a budget deficit of 13.39 trillion naira. And I've placed it vis-a-vis the 2024 budget, and we can see the variances and all. And what does this budget tells us? This budget alone, it changed a lot, as out of the 49.79 intended expenditure, only 14.85 will be going to capital expenditure. This is not even up to 30% or 40%, and which is against global world practice or standards. So, which is, to me personally, it's quite worrisome. And also, let's look at debt service. Out of about 36 trillion that generated as revenue, about 16.33 will be used to service debts, which is also quite disturbing. Okay, so let's look at some of the assumptions. There was no assumption for the benchmark oil prices. As regards the oil production, we had 2.06 million per barrel against 1.78 million per barrel that was projected for 2024. Exchange rates, as per the budget, it was estimated or it was projected that the exchange rate would be 1,500 naira per dollar, and inflation rate was projected to be at 15% from about 35%. Even IMF in their projection, they projected 25%. Should we say the federal government is being optimistic? That's so hard to say. And GDP at 3.89%, which is still enough. Okay, so what are the external factors that will likely affect this project or this budget? I mean, what are the external factors? Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning, ripple effect of the Russian-Ukraine war is still ongoing, and as we all know, Ukraine is one of the largest exporter of grains and rice and wheat and all, while Russia is into oil. And anything that happens along these axes will definitely affect global prices. And a reoccurrence of this war may also trigger some things as well. Also, influence of Middle East war on the soil sector. Recently, there's been war or raid between Israel and Gaza, which affects the flow of oil and flight and everything, hence making cost of transportation much more expensive, and also oil prices to also spike. Next one, okay, regional instability in West Africa. Yeah, recently we had some crises along the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, and they are announcing their decision to exit ECOWAS, which is something, I mean, I don't think it's something good. If this should proceed further and become more issue, and there's apathy among these countries, it may affect Nigeria drastically, affect our imports, because these countries, they are neighboring countries, so in a way it will affect the economy. Also, Donald Trump's tariffs agenda. During Trump's campaign, he proposed 10% rates across the board tariffs on all trading partners, on all imports, or imported goods into imported goods from China into the United States. One interesting thing about this is that it will increase cost of goods in the United States, which will cause inflation, and inflation from the United States will in a way find its way into other countries of the world. So this is quite concerning, and Nigeria should be aware of this. Okay, and also Trump's deportation policy. Donald Trump intends to also deport quite a number of people in the United States. I mean, illegal immigrants that are currently in the United States, and they were estimated to be more than 20 million citizens. And according to Peterson Institute of International Economics, it was estimated that deporting between 1.3 to 8.3 million undocumented immigrants could reduce US real GDP by up to 7% in 2028. So if US economy is suffering a 7% decline in GDP, that's a lot that's a lot of impact on the economy, and also in a way, it affects other economy. And that aside, as a Nigerian, we have people, we have families, we have businesses in the United States, and deporting them could mean that our people over there, they may be at risk, which may affect also depositors. I mean, forex deposited by Nigerians that are outside the country. Okay, to the next one. Oil prices. Oil prices may also affect the Nigerian economy, affect its budget, and also affect quite a number of things, and also price of PMS in Nigeria. Cryptocurrencies and tech, tech and innovation. As regards this, we may see some slight change, although this depends on a lot of factors. But I mean, one of the key factors that people should be aware of here is Elon Musk. We all know that Elon Musk is a big force when it comes to cryptocurrency and technology, especially with EVs and all. So it will be good to keep abreast, and also the fact that Elon Musk was recently appointed by Donald Trump to manage government efficiency, whatever and all. We also have a lot to say as regards this industry, and it may be worthwhile to actually watch it. And lastly is the EU influence on global inflation rate and exchange rate. I mean, whatever action that the EU takes during the year may directly or indirectly affect the Nigerian economy and its budget. Okay, so let's talk about the internal factors that may also impact the budget. I have three of them here. Is the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN's) monetary policy. So this plays a big role because this is our own internal factor. How we can tame inflation, how CBN can roll out some policy in order to ensure stability among the country. So whatever position that the CBN takes, it should definitely affect the 2025 budget. Also, the increased tax revenue and Nigerian tax reform. Recently, we've heard about the reform committee headed by Taiwo Oyedele introducing some sort of changes and reforms around the tax system, taking out a lot of taxes, reducing some rates, granting some exemptions, etc. Also, the minimum wage. Though the minimum wage act 2024 was passed last year, but not a lot of institutions or governments and parastatals have implemented this, and also we look forward to the implementation of this. Will of course increase money supply in the economy in the year 2025. Okay, so let's talk about the 2025 African economic outlook. Generally, it's a positive outlook for Africa, and I think Africa is ranked the second growing continent in the world, following Asia. So it's the second fast growing economy, or fast growing region rather, following Asia. And the economic outlook for Africa in 2025 is generally positive, with projections indicating an average growth of about 4.3%, up from 3.7% in 2024, and it could be driven by a lot of factors, including regional development, maybe agricultural as well. Okay, so next one. So let's look at, so what are my projections for the year 2025? I've decided not to attach figures to this, but the arrows indicate what my positions are. As regards GDP, I expect Nigeria's GDP in 2025 to be up. Inflation rates. Based on what we have currently, I expect our inflation rate to be relatively stable, not increasing at an increasing rate, but instead increasing at a decreasing rate. Okay, capital importation. I'm being optimistic about this capital importation. Hopefully, that investors will bring in more money into the economy and all. Foreign reserves. Based on the increase in oil production, I expect our reserves to go up. Unemployment rate. I'm skeptical about this, but relatively stable. Interest rates will likely go up in order to tame inflation rates. That's one of my strong bases for this. NGX performance. I expect the NGX to keep going up, and this is also a call to investors that they should bring money and invest in the Nigerian stock exchange market in the year 2025. As we've seen it, we had about 45% increase in 2023 and about 35%, if I'm not wrong, in 2024. So buy Nigerian stocks. Foreign exchange. The foreign exchange markets, this relatively dicey. I think I'll be indifferent. I'll be changing this. This should be indifferent. PMS price. I see PMS price to actually go up because I see Brent crude oil going up. This based on my instinct. I see Brent crude oil going up, and if Brent crude oil is going up, definitely PMS price in Nigeria goes up. Global oil price, of course, as I said, I see global oil price, Brent crude oil going up, which makes PMS to go up. So these are my projections and my expectation for the year 2025. And this is a call to investors. It's high time you take your position, take your stance, go to where you're going to, and make your final decision. And I wish us a prosperous and a beautiful and an amazing 2025 in our finances, in our investment, in our decision. And by December 2025, we'll come back to these projections and see how close or how far away I was. Thank you so much.